Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, as you can probably tell from the title, I am going to be starting a reading vlog for Running Wild by K. Tucker. And I am crazy excited about this. If you don't know, this is the first video you've ever watched on my channel. The Simple Wild is my favorite book of all time, and this is like the spin-off book to that series, and I am just so insanely excited for it. I feel like if you're watching this video, you've probably read The Simple Wild, so I'm not going to like talk about what that's about, but if you haven't read it, you should really read it. And so if you have read The Simple Wild but you haven't heard of this book, this one is Marie's story. So in The Simple Wild, Marie is kind of Jonah's best friend, and she is sort of around a lot throughout the course of those 3 books, and this is her romance. I believe Kala and Jonah are going to be in this one, but not as like main characters. We're just going to kind of see them on the side, and I am just like super excited for this. Literally anything set in this world I think I would really love, because one of the things that I really love about the series in general is just the sort of like atmosphere of the story. And so I think that even though this isn't the same couple, I think I am still going to really love it. I'm hoping that this is not the last book that K. Tucker writes in this realm, because I know I think it started in Wild at Heart, but definitely in Forever Wild, we were getting to see a lot of Toby, who works at, or I guess, I don't know if he works at the bar or his mom just like runs the bar, but we see a lot of him, and he's younger as well and single, so I'm kind of hoping we eventually get a book focusing on him as well. And if there are any maybe like new characters introduced in this book that might be interesting to read about. So I'm really excited to get to this. I'm probably not going to finish this all today. I'm hoping to be done it by tomorrow though, because I only have until like 7 p.m. today to read this, and it is currently, I have no idea what time. It is currently 1:54. So I have about 5 hours, but I'm probably not going to read continuously for those 5 hours. So hopefully today and tomorrow I'm able to get this done. So like I'd like to get at least like halfway through this book. It is 355 pages. So that's like, for me, I could read that in a day, but I'd have to spend like the whole day reading it. So I'll probably, like I said, get half done today and the other half tomorrow. I'm really excited about this. I'm pretty sure this is Enemies to Lovers as well, which Simple Wild also is. So I'm really excited for that. And it also has something to do with a like sled dog racing guy, I guess, because she's a vet. So she obviously deals with animals a lot, and I believe the guy she ends up with runs like a sled dog place. I don't know what that's called, but I'm sure I'll probably find out. But I believe that's like what it is, and they're like, I've heard it's Enemies to Lovers. I actually have not seen really any reviews for this book yet, because it did just come out this week, but I think it's going to be good, so I'm excited. So I will probably update you every maybe like 100 pages or so. So I'll update you on page 100, and then whenever I stop halfway for today, and so I will see you once I've read 100 pages. So I ended up not reading a whole ton today. It's now like almost 11 p.m. and I'm not even at page 100 yet. I'm at page 94, but I decided to film this now because it's like a chapter break, and the next chapter break isn't till like page 110. So this is going to be like my 100-page update, but so far I'm liking it. I will say there has been, I would say up till this point, more Jonah in this book than there has been Tyler, who is like Marie's love interest, and so that was kind of weird. I wasn't really expecting that, but I do remember with The Simple Wild there was sort of a lot of like almost pre-story, I guess you could say, where Kala was still in Toronto, and there was like a lot of that kind of part of the story, and I think this one just sort of followed the same path, I guess, where there was a lot of Marie's backstory, but like not really, more just like her present story, I guess. You get to see like what her life is like and the people she knows and things like that. But so far I'm liking it. I do think that this is not going to be the same as The Simple Wild in the sort of enemies to lovers sense, because in The Simple Wild, Kala and Jonah banter and like bicker and argue with each other for, I think, like a lot of the book, from what I remember anyway. Like I feel like they were arguing and like pulling their little pranks on each other for like a good couple, like 200 pages maybe. maybe that's just me remembering those because those were like my favorite moments of the book. Maybe they stood out more to me. But I feel like this book is a little bit different in that I feel like they're more just people that got off on the wrong foot in sort of that sense of enemies to lovers, where I feel like they might already be over it. I don't really know. But they really only just sort of hung out for the first time, I guess. They're not really hanging out. She is at this like rest stop on the dog racing trail, I guess you could say. I still feel like I don't know anything about dog racing, but she's on this trail and he has shown up, and that is like pretty much all I've really gotten of them so far. At page 94 is they met, they sort of got off on the wrong foot, and now she's sort of seeing him, I guess, the first time, where he's kind of like, yeah, I was a jerk. And so I'm excited to see where we go from here. I don't know how much I'm gonna get done tonight. I'm really starting to question if I'm gonna finish this tomorrow also, because like I still have this much of the book left. But maybe I can get like 100 pages done tonight. Probably not. I've realized recently I read about 50 pages an hour, so ideally I actually probably could do that if I read for the next 2 hours, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that. So far I am really liking it. We do get to see quite a bit of Kala and Jonah, at least in the part I've read already. There's a lot of references to sort of what was going on with Marie while Kala and Jonah were getting together, sort of flashbacks, I guess, to the times where like you'll recognize from The Simple Wild, like things where she'll mention things that were happening and you'll be like, oh, like I remember that from The Simple Wild. And so she's just kind of got a little, you know, her little thoughts on those moments, which have been kind of interesting to see, like what was going through her head during those times when they were sort of growing in their relationship. And so it's been exciting to like see Cal and Jonah again, because they are like my favorite book couple ever. So I really like that. I really like her so far. I like Tyler. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Hey everyone, so it is now day 2 of reading Running Wild, and I think my last update was at page like 95. I did end up reading quite a bit more last night and this morning, and I'm now on page 195, chapter 16. I am like this far into the book. I am really liking it so far, but my one sort of thing that I'm a little iffy on is I'm almost 200 pages in, obviously, 195, and I find there hasn't been a ton of romance really going on. And I know The Simple Wild, one of the things I like about it is it's a slow burn where Kala and Jonah are kind of picking on each other for a long time before they actually get together, and I like that. Like I said, that's one of my favorite things about that book. But with this one, I find that they're just like not even interacting. Like Marie and Tyler just like aren't even in the same place. He lives in like this one area, she lives in another, so they're not like bumping into each other at the grocery store or anything like that. They're just straight up not seeing each other. And because I like the setting and the town and like the side characters in these books as much as the main couple, I find that I'm not like necessarily complaining about that aspect. Whereas like I feel like if I had picked up this book outside of this series and was reading it, I might be a little disappointed that so far there's like 200 pages in, there really has been no sort of relationship development, I guess you could say. Like they're definitely like not enemies anymore and maybe getting a little bit closer, but there's only been like one like half kiss, I guess you could say, so far, and definitely no like dates or anything like that. Like it's very much at this point kind of almost women's fiction, I would say. I'm like not super surprised that that is the case with this book, because the synopsis, when I read it, I kind of got that vibe that it was going to focus more on her sort of development as a person more so than her romance, and I think that's definitely the case, because this part really like caught my eye, where it says like, comes the story of a woman at a crossroads in her life struggling between the safe route and the one that will only lead to more heartbreak. To me, that like didn't really scream romance, it screamed women's fiction. And like I said, I do feel like we are going down that road more so, but I am loving it. Like I said, I don't know that I would love it if it wasn't a sort of, you know, town that I was already familiar with and characters that I wasn't already familiar with. But because I loved The Simple Wild so much and I was so invested in their stories and everything that just like goes on in this like community and whatever, I feel like because of that I am like still okay. Like I don't feel like this book is dragging at all or anything, which normally I would if the romance was this slow. But I'm okay with it. Like I said, just something that I think like some people would want to know, because I know like some people don't like that. But if you read The Simple Wild and you liked it for the atmosphere part, which was one of the big draws for me, one of the reasons I really love that series, I think you would like this one because it really like carries that forward, and it is a lot about her life and her decisions. And like I said, she hasn't been interacting with Tyler a ton, but I'm hoping we're going to get more of that in the next 150 pages, obviously. But I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm not sure if I will have another like still reading update. Maybe I'll do one at like 300 pages, but at that point I feel like I'm basically at the end, so I might just, my next update might just be the end of the book. But like I said, so far I'm really liking it. About halfway through, a little more than halfway I guess, and yeah, like I said, hopefully the romance gets a little bit like heavier in the second half, but so far I'm really liking it. I love being back in Alaska because Kala and Jonah are my faves. And there hasn't been a ton of Kala. There's definitely been a lot of Jonah references throughout this book, but obviously like Marie was a lot closer to Jonah than she was to Kala, so that makes sense. I'm hoping there's like something with Kala and Jonah at the end, maybe like in the epilogue or something, where we kind of get to see where they're at this point, because a lot of it has just been her being like, oh, Jonah used to do this or Jonah used to do that. It's not so much like what he's doing right now. So I think it'd be cool to kind of get a look at what Kala and Jonah are doing now. We did get like a little bit of that in the beginning, but I hope we may get more of that by the end of this book. So I'm gonna go back to reading and I will update you guys whenever I feel like there needs to be an update. So I finished this book last night. I did really like it, but I was so conflicted on how to rate it because I'm still not sure how I feel about it in that sense. I loved the book because I loved The Simple Wild. I think that was like a main part of why I liked this so much, was I loved getting to see Alaska again, see the characters again from the other books, and just being back in that sort of community was something I really liked. But I think the romance in this one was just not there, and it pains me to say that because like I said, I love The Simple Wild. It is my favorite book of all time, and so like any book that comes out in that series I'm obviously gonna read. And this one I'm gonna do like spoiler free for now, and I'll tell you when I'm gonna start talking about spoilers so that you can click off the video. But basically I just felt like their relationship never went past surface level, and it took them so long just to get to that point. Like I think halfway through the book they had like barely even like had any interactions. Like they were just living two completely separate lives in different places, and so much of this focused on her life as a vet and her at all these sled dog races and like her thoughts on sled dog races and all these different things, but not a whole lot on the two of them like getting to know each other or hanging out or like doing things together or even just like bumping into each other in the grocery store. Like there wasn't really any of that going on for a long time in this book, I felt like. And so now I'm going to talk about spoilers, so if you want to leave, now is the time to do so. But one of the things I thought was weird with this book is she spends so much time throughout the whole course of this story talking about how bad she wants kids and how she's running out of time to have kids and getting pregnant, and everyone in this book gets pregnant except for her. And I just thought it was so weird that it ended not having confirmed if she was actually pregnant or not. Like it's sort of hinted at, but she doesn't actually say like, yeah, I'm pregnant at the end. And I thought that was so weird for a book that like that was such a major like driving force of her like being like, I have to find a man so I can have a baby kind of thing. And so I didn't really get why that was like that. I also honestly don't think I've ever read a book in my life where one of the main like love interests is dating someone else like 10 pages before the end of the book. Like, and not just one date, like she had gone out with this guy like 4 times, and the book was like, there was 10 pages left, and I was like, oh my god, like what are you gonna do? And so I felt like that was sort of strange, like because there was so much back and forth between like oh, he like likes her and then now he's not ready, and then oh, he likes her again and he's still not ready. And I just felt like he was almost leading her on a lot of the time, where he would be like, yeah, I'm like ready to do this, blah blah, and then the next day every single time he was like, no, never mind, I'm actually not ready. And I was just kind of like, okay, like why is she still falling for this guy? Like, it was very hard for me to sort of justify her actions, I guess, because I felt like he was leading her on and just like didn't want her to date anybody else, but also like wasn't ready to date her himself. And I didn't really love that vibe. And then like randomly at the end he's just like, okay, I'm ready now, and then we're just supposed to believe that they live happily ever after. But I'm kind of like, I don't know, maybe the next morning he woke up and was like over it again. So I thought that was sort of strange. I wrote in my Goodreads review, it took me a long time to write that one, that I would give the actual story 5 stars, but the romance for me was like a 3-star romance. Like, if I had picked up this book by any other author outside of the Simple Wild series and read it, I think I wouldn't have liked it. I think a lot of my liking it was based on the fact that I already loved these characters and this town and everything. And so I'm kind of sad about that. But one of my big things also was that I don't know if K.A. Tucker has confirmed that this is the last book. I saw someone's review say that this was the last book, but I don't know if they were just like assuming that. But I kind of hope it's not. I really would love to see a Toby book. I said that after I read Forever Wild, and I also kind of felt it after Wild at Heart. This one didn't have a ton of Toby in it, so I didn't feel like it was really leading in that direction. But I did feel like this sort of hinted at the possibility of a Mabel and Reed book, which I would definitely read, although I think we'd have to wait until Mabel was 18 for that to be written. But I would read those books, and I'm hoping this isn't the last one in the series, because like I said, I do love like the community and the town and everything in this book, and I would absolutely pick up the next book if there were to be another one to come out. But I don't know that K.A. Tucker has announced that that's happening or not happening, or what's up with that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this vlog. I am hoping to do a lot more of these now. And thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below, because I do new book videos every single week, and I will see you next time.